Mount & Blade Warband is an extremely popular game, not just for its multiplayer components, but especially its single player as well, bringing some new things to the table, having elements from RPGs, strategy games, and open world type games as well, and of course some elements of the grand strategy genre. There's always been one issue. There's always been something more that people have wanted, and this is cooperative campaign gameplay. Now, people have been asking this for ages, and I think it's safe to say it's probably the most requested feature of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. But who knows if it's going to happen, if it's going to be possible with that. But hold your horses, we might have something to tide us over until something else comes out. The global campaign mod is taking a co-op idea for a mod and moving it into a more realistic multiplayer setting. Now, you may think straight away, that is not co-op at all. Well, yes, it sort of is. So we have the Cooperative map. It is of course a mini Cooperative as it has to be set into a multiplayer, server. Here the Cooperative map, you can walk around, and as you can see, you're a big guy just walking around the mini towns and things. What is in this map? Well, it is Cooperative Mini, and the developer says it contains 72 villages, 50 castles, 22 cities, 12 PvP zones, 3 bandit dens, and 1 initial respawn. The only areas that had to be reduced were the villages, which used to be 112 in the actual whole world of Cooperative, but it was reduced to 72, so it fits perfectly. This is taking the whole single player for Mount & Blade and putting it into a more persistent world type setting, taking the single player and persistent world together, mashing them into this mod here, and it creates this whole Frankenstein-esque style mod, which I think is extremely ambitious, and I'm just hoping this works. But let me tell you a little bit more about this mod. Now, what does this map actually do? Well, you can see as you're walking around the map, you can go to each of the villages and towns as you would in the single player, and when you go up to them, you have the use button that you'll see in a lot of multiplayer things for persistent world and all that sort of stuff. When you click on them, it will teleport you to one of the sectors. For example, if we see this overhead map of all the sectors and the map in the top right there, we can see that if you click on one of the castles, you'll take and teleported to one of the castle sectors, and it feels like you're still in the single player, but actually you're just in one massive map, just cornered off with walls, so you can't actually see out of it. Now, this works with all the things like PvP zones, cities, castles, working villages, bandits, layers. There's a lot more to this. The mod will have day and night cycles, which is incredible. There'll be a lot of things like custom adventures that the admins of the servers will be able to do and give you sort of missions and quests like you would in the single player mode. You'll be able to do this on your own, or you'll be able to do this with other people, with friends, in a sort of co-op matter. But it's not just 2-player co-op. This can be up to 200 people sorted out into different factions and doing your thing. So you can go and you can join a faction, you can fight with them in a sort of persistent world style matter, or you can go off on your own and you can go and find and do missions yourself. But of course, it'll be a lot harder. Like I said, there's day-night cycles in this mod, climate changes, NPC bandits, and also missions similar to single player that'll be organized by the server admin. Now, the example given on the mod DB page is an administrator who will assume the role of the merchant, as when you go and you start the game of Mount & Blade, you know that there's a merchant whose brother has been kidnapped and you have to go find him. You have to find the bandits, find the bandit layer. Now, this is still possible to do in this global campaign mod. So the admin will play this part of the merchant guy, and he'll call for you guys to gather and rescue their brother. Now, you can either do this on your own or you can do this with friends. You'll go and have to hunt down the bandits layer, and you'll have to fight the NPC bandits, and then of course you'll win the mission. If you get the NPC bandits, you get his brother back, which will probably be another admin or another player, and then you'll get some rewards for that. So it adds the whole quest from the single player and puts it into this persistent world multiplayer setting. Now, of course, there's still the faction system with the Swadians, the Vegas, all that sort of stuff, etc. And each faction will have 12 villages, in which these will be vineyards, salt mining, metal mining, tavern, blacksmith, banks, fishing, wood, leather, church, mill, and linen. Now, this is where a lot of the PW stuff comes into. You'll have to collect these resources for your factions and your towns. In the cities, there'll be an advanced smithy plus a university with books to learn skills, so you'll be able to upgrade and level up your character throughout the world in this mini Cooperative, but it's still in this multiplayer setting. So someone that's been playing for ages will have learned skills and be able to level up their character more than someone that's just started playing, a lot like you would in the single player But once again, in a multiplayer setting, I just think it's incredible how they're able to do this. It's not quite an exact replication of the single player put into a co-op setting, but I think this is a way that it could work and make it even better. This is an incredible idea of way of getting around that difficulty of putting co-op in it. Now, the cities themselves can't be conquerable, such as the big ones like Suno and Praven and things like that, but the castles can be. There'll be events where several of the castles of the faction can be conquered. You can take them over, and I think you'll be able to maybe move over your faction stuff. That's not really confirmed, but that'll be really cool if you could conquer a castle and your faction will be able to then expand their territory into different sectors. Seeing the gameplay, how the overworld map looks like, where you're running around. Imagine this where there's lots of people running around in groups, doing their own thing, going into these towns and villages and teleporting to these sectors where they can do missions, fight NPCs and all that good stuff, gathering resources, and then going into the castles and the cities, selling their stuff, buying equipment, gathering resources and crafting things for their factions or for themselves. Now, there's also religion in it as well. I'm not really sure how the religion will work, but the religion is Christianity, which is the Swadians, the Rodux and the Vegas, Mongolian shamanism, which is the Kyrgyz, Islam, which of course is Saunids, and Alzatru, which is of course the Nords. Like you can see on the overworld minimap, everything is a bit smaller, but when you're teleported into the sections, it's actually the same size as it would be in the normal campaign, or at least things like Praven would be. The big cities are actually the real size, and you're able to do all these things here. Now, if I show you this other map, you're able to see some more of the details about how it's going to look overhead with each of the sectors. Now, the PvP zones, I think, is going to come more into it once you've leveled up your character more, you've got more resources. If you're working with factions, you can go and fight other factions in the field using the stuff that you've leveled up with over time. So it's not just going to be a whole running around, you know, everyone doing their own thing and never really interacting, but you're also able to fight with each other. Persistent World had a big problem of being optimized badly. Mount & Blade wasn't really meant to be modded and played that way, but they did it anyway. And it was incredible, but it meant that a lot of people with lower NPCs couldn't play it very well. And it seems to me that they've been able to make this a lot bigger than any other mod before in terms of the map sizes. I'm not quite sure how they did that, but I feel like it's been a bit of a Persistent World type thing where they've been able to expand the maps massively. And the only thing that's really been reduced is the villages, which is absolutely great. But all in all, this is, I think, the best chance that we've got at getting a co-op mod for Mount & Blade Warband. It's not obviously 100% co-op single player, because I feel like that really isn't possible. The Battle Time mod can't even do that. That's just the battles of single player. But this is the closest thing we've got to a co-op, and I think it's done in such a way that it feels so unique and something completely different. There's been a lot of mods that have come out that have had all these big ambitions, like the tag on to Persistent World and all that sort of stuff, but they've always died because they've never offered something that different. And I think this could be that Persistent World tag on mod that takes it and completely overhauls it in such a way that it is the main mod that's going to be multiplayer at the moment. Persistent World is still pretty big at the moment. I think if this is pulled off, this completely take over the Mount & Blade modding scene in terms of multiplayer. Having the co-op and having the Persistent World in just makes an incredible thing. Having the options to not only play with your teams, your friends and everyone else in a clan, but also on your own, and not just collecting resources and crafting and smithing and fighting in battles, but also additional things like doing quests for people, events in the game where I can't even begin to think of the amount of events and quests that people can come up with. Having fetch quests, having things where you have to kill people, hunt people down. You could even have multiple people putting bounties on someone and having a wanted person, and then there's a quest where the admin says you need to go and find this person, and you've got people chasing each other through the world of this mini Caradia, hiding in the taverns and things and finding out, and they'll get a reward if they do so. Fight against NPC bandits throughout the world. Maybe if they're able to add in NPC bandits, what else are they able to add in the future? I think that could be something incredibly interesting to look into. But I will leave you with a little bit of the trailer so you guys can watch it yourself. But thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see more of this. There's no really release date of it at the moment, but hopefully it will be sometime very soon. If you want to see more information about it, click the link in the description and you can do so. But make sure you go and follow me on Twitter for more information about this sort of stuff when you get notified for all my games and my videos. And of course, click the link in the description to come to my Discord where we do a quiz night and we play games. And when I do live streams, sometimes I get you guys on and you can come and play games with me live on YouTube or Twitch. Actually, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch a bit more because that's where I kind of want to keep my streaming stuff. So go and follow me on Twitch as well and we'll do all that sort of stuff. But thank you so much for watching, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.